Imagine handing your entire life savings to a man everyone trusts, a genius, a legend, and then one day, you find out the money was never real. It was gone the whole time. That is exactly what happened to hundreds of thousands of people in the scams we are about to go through. These are the biggest money scams in history. The masterminds, the tricks they used, the billions they stole, and the moment it all came crashing down. Take a breath, because some of these numbers are hard to believe. Let's begin. First, Charles Ponzi, the man the whole thing is named after. Back in 1920, a man named Charles Ponzi found a clever little trick involving international mail coupons. In theory, you could buy them cheap in one country and cash them in for more in another. He told investors he had found a way to make them rich from it. Give him money, he said, and in just 45 days he would hand it back with a 50% profit. 50%. In a month and a half. People went crazy for it. But here is the secret. Ponzi was not really investing in anything. When old investors wanted their profit, he simply paid them using the money from new investors. And to those new people, he made the same promise. Think about how that works for a second. As long as new people kept pouring money in, the old people got paid, and everybody believed it was real. The problem is, a scheme like that can never stop. It needs more and more new money forever, or the whole thing collapses. And eventually, the new money slowed down. Ponzi could not pay everyone back, the truth came out, and it all fell apart. He did not invent the trick. But he did it so famously that we still call it a Ponzi scheme to this day. Next, Bernie Madoff, the king of the Ponzi scheme. Now take Ponzi's simple little trick and imagine running it for decades on a scale nobody had ever seen. That was Bernie Madoff. And here is what made Madoff so dangerous. He was not some random con man. He was Wall Street royalty. He had even been the chairman of the Nasdaq stock market, one of the biggest in the world. When Bernie Madoff told you your money was safe, you believed him without question. For years, he promised his investors steady, reliable returns. Not crazy overnight riches, just calm, consistent profit, year after year, no matter what the market did. That is what made it so convincing. But it was all the same trick. He was not investing the money at all. He was just paying old investors with the cash from new ones and faking the paperwork to make it look real. Everyday retirees trusted him. Charities trusted him. Even famous celebrities handed him their fortunes. Then the 2008 financial crisis hit. Panicking investors all rushed to pull their money out at once. And Madoff simply did not have it. It had never really been there. When it finally collapsed, the scale was almost impossible to believe. Around $65 billion gone. Tens of thousands of victims wiped out. It remains the largest Ponzi scheme in history, and Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison, where he later died. Next, Enron, the company that lied about everything. Not every scam is one man in a room. Sometimes it is an entire company, and Enron is the greatest example ever. In the late 1990s, Enron was one of the most admired companies in America. A giant energy business praised as innovative and unstoppable. Its stock price kept climbing. Everyone wanted a piece of it. There was just one problem. It was mostly fake. Behind the scenes, Enron was drowning in debt and losing money. But instead of admitting it, the executives used sneaky accounting tricks to hide the losses and make the company look wildly profitable. They basically shoved all their debt into hidden side companies where investors could not see it. So imagine buying stock in a company that looks like it is booming, when in reality it is quietly rotting from the inside. That is what thousands of people did. In 2001, the truth finally came out. Enron admitted its profits were nowhere near what it had claimed, and the whole thing collapsed almost overnight. Around $74 billion in value vanished. Thousands of employees lost their jobs and their retirement savings in one blow. Top executives went to prison. It was, at the time, the biggest corporate bankruptcy America had ever seen. Next, WorldCom. The record Enron did not hold for long. Just as the world was reeling from Enron, another giant fell. A telephone and internet company called WorldCom. The trick here was almost childishly simple, but massive. The company was spending enormous amounts of money to run its business. Normally, you have to report those costs, and they make your profits look smaller. So WorldCom just did not. They hid their everyday costs and disguised them as investments, which made the company look far more profitable than it actually was. On paper, business was booming. In reality, it was falling apart. The fake profits added up to around $11 billion. When it was uncovered, largely thanks to a brave internal auditor who refused to look away, WorldCom collapsed into the biggest bankruptcy America had ever seen, even bigger than Enron. Two of the largest company scandals in history, back-to-back, in barely a year. It shook people's trust in big business to its core. Next, Theranos, the scam that fooled Silicon Valley. This one is different because it was not selling stocks. It was selling a miracle, and it put lives at risk. A young college dropout named Elizabeth Holmes founded a company called Theranos. Her promise sounded incredible. A machine that could run hundreds of medical tests from just a single tiny drop of blood. No more big needles. Fast, cheap, revolutionary. Investors were mesmerized. Powerful, important people backed her. At its peak, the company was valued at around $10 billion, and Holmes was hailed as a genius who would change medicine forever. There was just one small detail. The machine did not work. Let that sink in. This was not a stock trick or an accounting lie. Real patients were getting real blood test results from a device that could not actually do what it claimed. Wrong results about their actual health. Eventually, insiders and journalists exposed the truth. The technology was a fantasy. The whole $10 billion company crumbled, and Elizabeth Holmes was convicted of fraud and sent to prison. Proof that a confident enough story can fool even the smartest people in the room. Next, Wirecard, the missing $2 billion. To show this is not just an American thing, here is one from Germany. Wirecard was a superstar tech company, one of the most valuable in the entire country, handling digital payments. It was seen as Europe's answer to the big American tech giants, a national point of pride. For years, journalists raised suspicions that something was wrong with its books. The company brushed them off and even fought back. Then, in 2020, it all unraveled in the most stunning way. Nearly €2 billion that was supposed to be sitting in the company's bank accounts was discovered to be missing. And not missing as in stolen. Missing as in it appeared to have never existed at all. The company that everyone had praised collapsed almost instantly. Its top boss was arrested, and another top executive vanished and became an international fugitive. A national champion, exposed as a giant hole where the money was supposed to be. Next, FTX, the modern crypto disaster. And finally, the newest one, from the world of cryptocurrency. A young man named Sam Bankman-Fried built a giant crypto exchange called FTX. It exploded in popularity. He was on magazine covers, praised as a genius, treated like the responsible face of crypto. He gave money to charities and politicians. Everybody seemed to trust him. People deposited billions of dollars onto his platform, believing their money was sitting there safely, just like in a bank. It was not. Behind the scenes, billions of dollars in customer money was quietly funneled into his own separate trading company, used for risky bets, lavish purchases, and donations. The money customers thought was safely stored was actually being gambled with. In 2022, the whole thing collapsed in a matter of days, once people realized the money was not there and rushed to pull it out. Around $10 billion of customer and investor money was caught up in it. Bankman-Fried was convicted of fraud and sentenced to 25 years in prison. Same trick as always, just dressed up in shiny new technology. So there it is. The mail coupon king, the Wall Street legend, the lying companies, the fake miracle machine, and the crypto golden boy. Different decades, different disguises. But if you look closely, almost every single one is the exact same story. Someone the world completely trusts. A promise that sounds too good to be true. Money that was never really there. And a pile of ordinary people who lose everything when the truth finally comes out. Because here is the real lesson hiding inside all of these. The scam almost never works because the con is clever. It works because we want to believe. We want the easy money. We want the genius to be real. So the next time something promises you huge, guaranteed, effortless returns, remember every name on this list. If it sounds too good to be true, it almost always is.